AdYack.
You're listening to AdYack. AdYack is the official podcast of the AAF Greater Lehigh Valley Ad Club. Our mission is to inspire creativity and enhance the professional development of the advertising and marketing communities where we live and work. I'm your host, Bill Childs, and I'll talk with artists, designers, writers, directors, photographers, along with those who work in a creative capacity. Our aim here is to serve as a creative resource to help you stay informed, entertained, and above all, inspired. But first, I want to thank ASR Media. We appreciate your support and collaboration. Welcome back to AdYack, the podcast where I pull on the threads of creativity until something unravels. And today's episode went deeper than I expected, in the best way possible. I sat down with filmmaker Brandon C. Lay, whose new film, Finger Lace Crown, follows a spray paint artist named Lemon Drop as she navigates both her creative passion and the high walls of the fine art world. The film officially dropped on streaming platforms, Prime Video, Fandango at Home, and Hoopla on December 5th, 2025, after making the rounds through local premieres and landing a distribution deal with Buffalo 8. It's already picking up recognition, including Best Foreign Feature at the Unrestricted View Film Festival. In our conversation, Brandon opened up about the sacrifices artists make, the kind that don't show up in the behind-the-scenes footage. We got deep into his writing process, how he works with actors, the filmmakers who shaped him, and the movies that made him want to pick up a camera in the first place. He also dropped some great advice for young filmmakers. So whether you're making films or just trying to make anything that matters, you may want to listen to this one. What really stayed with me was the meaning behind Finger Lace Crown. It's not just the name of the film. It was a revelation. One of those moments that lands softly but stays with you. And once you hear it, you'll understand why. Here is my AdYack with Brandon C. Lay. So I just got done watching the movie about an hour ago.
Nice.
And
Okay, great.
I loved it, man. I did. I seriously, I loved it. Like the art direction, the shot selection, the writing, the story. Yeah, it was fantastic.
I really appreciate that. Thanks a lot. Yeah, it's been a little while since it's been completed, but it's finally getting out to people, and we're getting a lot of reactions like that, which I really appreciate.
Your cast is amazing, especially the main actress. Really, really phenomenal. Really phenomenal.
Yeah, Therese, she's fantastic. We've been working together for a while. I want to say 5 or 6 years on again, off again. Like we don't work on everything together. She does a lot of like theater and as well. And then that's how I saw her first. I saw her at a collection of like, I believe it was one acts written by women.
Mhm.
And it was in like the basement, not really basement, but like a gathering area in a church, but it was in like the lower level. Calling it a basement sounds weird. It was just like slightly like you walk down some stairs and it was like a communal area.
Yeah.
And there was a stage in there. She was doing that. And I was working on something at the time. And my friend Sid Stauffer, who was also in the film, Sid and I went and saw her in that production because we were interested for a part. So we kind of wanted to like scope her out a little bit.
Sure.
And that was years and years ago now.
Really? Wow.
Yep. Therese is, yeah, she's amazing.
So where'd you get the idea for the story? What's the thought there? Where did that come from?
Yeah, that one's from the artist Tyrone. He is the artist behind the character Lemon Drop's work, like the backdrop of everything. That's his art studio, or was his art studio back when Banana Factory still existed.
Oh yeah.
It's been I think torn down within the last 6 months to a year or so. I know they're building up something new. It's like on the other side of the bridge for me. But yeah, that was his studio, and so this would have been, I want to say 2022, give or take. I want to say 2022.
Okay.
He'll correct me if I'm wrong. Anyway, Tyrone is this amazing spray paint artist, and he was entering into the world of NFTs, which was like a real thing at that moment. Like it was a real, like similar to how aggressive the conversation is over AI right now. It was the same kind of thing with NFTs about 3, 4 years ago, whatever it was. And he was like right on the pulse of it for a little while. And his work was being into NFTs, and he was making some real serious headway with it financially. And but he was telling me about it and how some people would want the original real artwork, the stuff that you actually made, destroyed, so some digital version of it would be worth more money. Um,
I know that
which
part.
for me, especially when I first hear it, was forget about it. No way. Yeah.
That part got me
Um,
when Dan Roebuck says, "I look forward to," when Dan Roebuck says, "I look forward to
yeah, yeah.
more of your work." I was like, "Oh my god!" Yeah, it was just a great line. I look forward to
Yeah. No,
your work.
that was his. That was an ad libbed one. Got to work through that scene and everything like that, which is really great. Dan, really funny guy. Like, and he leans to his instincts as a performer lean towards the humorous.
Hmm.
And so, I could tell he really wanted to sell that line at the end, and I was just like, yeah, I'm digging it. I'm down. Let's have that in there. It's a great little button to this moment of this bittersweet moment for her dealing with, you know, what this art scene is like for her.
Yeah, yeah.
And but yeah, so that's where it kind of came from. Was Tyrone was really dealing with that, and he was, it's his story to tell as far as like what he was going through. But
Mm,
it was like an overnight change in his life, in the positive, like all in the green. All of a sudden, just because of him having another avenue to sell his artwork in, and then from there, I was just like, well, I love his work, and and this battle in me, like trying to see how I felt about it, and part of it, you know, how I got it's not something that I'd want done with my work. However, part of what I came to is there is something beautiful about that destruction, in the same way that like theater is beautiful. It only lives for the people that go to see it,
mhm.
and that's it. And so there is something to be said for storytelling and art that works that way. Um, Now, the fact that it's being filtered through technology is a different thing. Like, that's a much bigger conversation. But that was part of how I made my peace with it
Yeah.
at the time. And then it was just a great avenue for me to be able to explore, a coming of age story for this woman um, on that backdrop.
And just every I mean, I just re everybody that was in it just did a phenomenal job. I was very impressed with that.
Thank
Just
you. I
your
appreciate
your
that. Yeah, I'm super proud of my cast.
I love the shot selection for a lot of the scenes. It just are just like, man, they almost like were you trying to go for like kind of like a painting in a sense? Like because the colors were very vivid. They're very, bold,
Absolutely.
vivid, which I liked. And I love character studies. I love movies that are like small and intimate and just people reacting to each other. And we don't get a lot of those movies anymore. The 70s was kind of like when the heyday of that. I think of like the John Cassavetes of the day, um,
For sure.
character studies where it's just like, it's not so much about, the CGI and explosions and all that other stuff. It's more just human. I love that. That's what I like about.
Yeah. I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, I gravitate to those towards those kind of stories myself. Obviously, I mean that's why I make them.
Yep.
I mean, part of it's budget, but I really don't have an interest in big action set pieces and stuff like that. Like I like action, don't get me wrong, but I like everything to be a little bit more grounded. And so there's a few special effects shots in this, but they're really like old school
Hmm.
style of special effects where it's like the same way that someone would use a matte painting back in the day where they would be like layering film shots.
Yes.
I'm doing some similar things just like in a modern way.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not actually having matte paintings for the background, but similar kind of like screens and like shifting perspectives like that.
I kind of want to go see now the rest of your movies.
Oh, great. Please do.
That's kind of like where I'm at. Like I
Um,
wait this one and I'm like, now I remember, the worry doll, right? And Macy or Gracie on a good day. I hope I'm getting that right. They were in my
you were right the first time. Yeah, Macy. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember when they came out, but I just, for whatever reason, I didn't connect with them to see them. but now I kinda want to. Now I wanna go back and where can I check out the catalog? Like, is it available anywhere for me?
Yeah, so there's a couple ways to see some of them. Yeah, so, Macy on a Good Day, uh, The Worry Doll, and The Ground That Sinks
Mm,
are all available on Amazon still. I
okay.
mean, we don't really promote them any longer or whatnot. Like, it's funny too because like I'm working with much better equipment now. So by
Mm,
no means am I not proud of these pieces of work. Like performances, the writing,
yeah.
super proud of all that. Even how I shoot things, but what I'm shooting with and the equipment and things like that have gone forward so much that I do give people that heads up because there's a 10-year difference on some of them,
Mm,
so
sure.
and now instead I've gone into mountains of debt in order to have camera equipment that would like actually be able to accomplish what I'm trying to accomplish. But yeah, so you could see those there. A lot of the short films are available on Vimeo. And if someone really was into what we do, we have a Patreon. And on Patreon,
Oh,
if you're a subscriber to like at the library pass tier, then everything's available to you. It's just like you can have a link to literally any one of our films that we've done in the past. None of the stuff that's out yet, but like
yeah.
any of the stuff that's been around. Yeah.
Okay, so then what's the process then? You submit this to festivals and things like that?
Mm.
So have you done that
You,
yet with this new one? In your
so there's a couple. This yes. So the best example of like going that route with things was Bitter Taste of Ginger, which was the film that we made before Finger Lace Crown, which is a much darker piece.
Mm,
It's more satirical. It's very, very dour in a good way, like in a fun kind of like intense, but it's not definitely not for everybody. But it was also our most popular piece that we made. It
okay.
was it's a much more sledgehammer kind of piece. It's only an hour and 15 minutes, so it's as short as a feature can be and still be considered a feature. And that one we submit all over the place. Like
Mm,
every bit of energy was getting it out to festivals and doing the festival circuit. And I stopped counting after I think 30, I want to say. And it took a whole bunch of awards at the festivals. The lead actress, who's also in Finger Lace Crown, she plays Sammy, Sarah Cugini. Um, just just like was just Santa bag level of
mm,
awards for her
mhm,
performance, and it deservedly so. She's amazing, as did ensemble awards, and yeah, we did really well on the festival circuit with that. However, we did not have any form of distribution or anything like that. So with this one, we went a completely different route. With this one, it was more about, okay, can we get distribution? How do we go about doing that? And then what does that path really like look like at this stage of being an independent filmmaker? And with Bitter Taste of Ginger, one of the people that saw it at a festival was a gentleman named Glenn Reynolds, who with Circus Road Films, and he is a distribution consultant. And he reached out to me about Bitter Taste of Ginger, loved it, and was like, "But I got to be honest with you, Brandon. I think I only have about a 50% chance of selling this for you." And I just loved his honesty so much that like he could be making money from me right now
mhm,
or trying to, and instead is like, you know, I love your work, but you can hire me if you want, but I don't want to give you like a definite.
right.
And then when we finished this piece, I reached back out to him. It was like a year and a half later, and he was like, "This is fantastic. What are we going to do with it? What do you want?" And so I hired him. We hired him. We actually we are when I say no budget, I mean literally no budget. Like everyone's a volunteer, everyone's doing what they can. Like I mentioned before, mountains of debt to get professional equipment, but like there's no real money behind us. It's all like what can we make from nothing? And so we raised his fee, which was in large part accomplished by Felicia White, who plays the mom, Lynette, in this, and also Joshua Fatoros, who plays Baby in this. Josh is a business owner, and between him and Felicia, they did a lot of the legwork raising the funds. I did some work raising the funds. The whole team did,
Mm,
but the two of them especially. And and then yeah, we went with him, and he got us in touch with Buffalo 8 and many others. We selected Buffalo 8 of the ones that made offers to us, and now fast forward to now, and you know we're actually coming out. And it's not all my legwork as it has been for a lot of the others,
I
which
love
is an exciting step. Yeah.
That's awesome. I love to hear that.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this then. So
Mhm.
when did this all begin? Your love of film, your love of movie making. Where did this
Mm,
group in your life?
sure. Um, well, we can go two routes with that. I mean, I've always loved film.
Mm,
My dad and his best friend, my uncle Jeff, before I was born and when I was really young, I think it was all before I was born, used to make films on like Super 8 and things like that. And there's been like it's in my blood, not necessarily making films. My uncle Jeff was more the person behind the camera. My dad was in front of the camera. Um, and But beyond that, a love for film was ingrained for me from birth, and my grandfather loved movies and was a bit of a shut-in because of how much he loved movies. My dad loves movies. My mom loved movies. And it's so interwoven with that aspect of my life, not to get too personal about it, but like when my parents were divorcing, I was a teenager, and it
mm,
was this like unifying thing. Like I went to see these kind of movies with my dad. I went to see these kind of movies with my mom. I went to see these kind of movies with my cousin Mark, who was babysitting me, and it was an escape, but also like even from a young age, it wasn't just like viewing it as entertainment for me. It was viewing it as like, oh, this is this person's tastes. Someone created this tone. It's not just the actors on the screen. Like someone's behind all of this,
mm.
you know?
Sure.
And I remember very specifically, I must have been like 5 or 6, something like that. And when my dad used to watch movies, if it was something more adult, if it was a Woody Allen film, or if it was, something with a lot of violence or whatnot, something that I wouldn't understand at 5 or 6, he would say things like, "Oh, this is a boring one. You're not going to like this one." And I'd go, "Oh, okay," and I'd leave and go play with my toys. And I remember so vividly that one of the times he did that, I still remember. It's at the end of Witness, the Peter Weir film,
Yeah.
with Harrison Ford, and Danny Glover is the villain in it, and he's like walking through like these like warehouses for corn or wheat or things like that. It's like right at the climax of the movie when it's
Yeah.
going to get really really violent.
Yep.
And I sat down in front of the TV to watch with my dad, and he paused it and was like, he didn't pause it yet. No, he was like, "Oh, this is a boring talky one. You won't like this." And I went, "That's okay," like because I just wanted to spend time with my dad. And he went, "Oh," and paused it because he lied. And my dad never used to lie to me ever, 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 never ever lied to me. And it clicked in my brain like, oh, movies have the power to make my dad lie. Like as weird as a thing that sounds, but like I still remember it to this day.
That's
I
powerful.
remember his sigh.
Yeah.
I remember his sigh. I remember him having to stop the climax of a movie because it was going to be violent when he tried a different route to get me out of the room and it didn't work. And it's so many little things like that growing up when movies are treated both literally and unintentionally with power, you know,
Yeah.
um, that sinks in. Storytelling was always a big part of my household. My dad was a writer, my mom was an artist, and so from a very young age, like that became like I've always wanted to be a storyteller and always have been, and I wanted to do acting as well, and I love acting, but I don't trust somebody else behind the camera, so I stopped acting in my own movies. I mean, little bits here and there, but
Yeah.
and then I truly and honestly fell in love and prefer the actual like crafting of the story itself through my words and through working with actors and shooting it and editing it. Like I just fell in love with every aspect of that.
What are some of your favorite movies?
Oof. Uh, let's see. Well, the letterbox four on there right now are Rashomon, Cries and Whispers, Hannah and Her Sisters, and There Will Be Blood. Those are the four that I have,
Those good ones.
but I have my list of 100 too.
Yeah, right, sure. Okay, I like that. Who are,
Yes.
who are some directors you admire?
Oh, okay. Well, from that list, we got Kurosawa, we got Bergman, we got Woody Allen, and we got PTA. Um, all four masters, as far as I'm concerned. And both for most of them, Kurosawa wasn't really a writer, but he was a storyteller through the filmmaking. He did some writing, but his real gift wasn't necessarily the writing portion of things. He adapted a lot of things. But in the case of Bergman, for sure, Woody Allen for sure, PTA for sure, all writer directors, all people that are taking their words and the story that they are writing, which on itself, by itself, without the visuals, is already a, a totemic piece of work. And then when you add in the collaborators and the visuals and how good they are at expressing whatever it is that they're going for, it just doesn't get any better. Just doesn't get any better.
Cassavetes make that list or no?
I like Cassavetes. I
Okay.
like Cassavetes. I mean, I've seen everything, just about everything he's done. Woman Under the Influence, I adore. Opening Night, I adore. Um, and I respect his process quite a bit. And I love how he works with actors. I don't think much of him as a writer. Like when I think of Cassavetes, I'm not thinking of him as like, oh man,
Right, right.
the writing of Cassavetes, and like I'm a writer first. And so I've absorbed and like, you know, one of our godfathers of independent cinema, you know what I mean? Like in America, I love the guy, but he's not on my Rushmore. Like he's
Mm,
not one of my main guys. Yeah.
got you.
But
You
love
know,
him.
I was thinking, I think the first time I I don't know if I actually met you, but I was in the same room you were in, was at George Miller's house. George
Okay.
Miller used to stage readings, like, on a Sunday evening at his farmhouse, and Kate, with his wife, and
Yeah.
we would all get parts to read. That was so amazing for me to be a part of that, to because 'cause I'm not
Hmm.
a reader, but, like, I love words, I love plays, I appreciate the craft immensely. When I got to sit in on those things and, like, and listen to people read some of their plays that they're working on, and I know that you were at 1 or 2 of those. And I think George was the one.
I was at a bunch for a while. Yeah.
Yeah, George was the one that first said to me, "You should check out Brandon's films, they're really good." And I think it might have I
Oh, well, that's so
don't remember
sweet.
which one it was, yeah. And I was yeah, well, of course, I love George Miller. You were at his wake, you were filmed, like, you were there filming.
Yep.
You put a whole
I
piece.
did. Yeah.
Yeah. And he cast
Y-
my son in, To Kill a Mockingbird to play Dill
Okay.
when Oakes Fagley got cast to go be in Boardwalk Empire, if you know,
Okay.
right? So he goes off to HBO in Brooklyn or where they're shooting that, and now he had everybody cast for To Kill a Mockingbird, and he had no one for Dill, and my son was doing things with Civic, and, he was kinda, like, known through there, and yeah, George cast him. It was the last one that he cast, and it was, what a play that was at the PA Playhouse. I mean, Mary Badham came to the opening night show, which was crazy. So
I mean, I've heard so much about that show. I did not see that show of
oh,
George's.
it was like a
But
who's
that's all I hear.
yeah, like Roy Schuler, was in it. Surprised Dan Roebuck wasn't in it. He probably wasn't available at the time, or he would have probably been in there somewhere. But no, George. I miss George so much.
Agreed.
But
Yeah.
that's where
I
we're in each other's presence for the first time.
Yeah, I mean, I was at a bunch of those. I remember that. So in this would have been in 2010 or 2011 ish.
Mhm.
Um, I didn't know George yet.
Mm,
Um, and George and Kate moved back from Ireland.
yep.
Um, and back to the Lehigh Valley, and that was a big deal for a lot of people. For me, it was just oh, cool, more cool theater people, and I didn't really know many people in the theater community that well. I had gone to Northampton Community College and
Mhm.
done theater there.
Okay.
And there was this small theater in Nazareth called the Insomniac Theater,
Mm.
and this is leading to George and Kate. So at Insomniac Theater, some of the people in Northampton Community College were doing work there. A gentleman named Charles Weigald,
Yeah.
who unfortunately passed away a few years ago. Um, and Charles and I went to college together, and he was a talented director, and was always um, spoke highly of me, both of my work as a writer, but also a director. And so they were looking to put on new plays there. So I had rented the space and did a couple things there in the small theater, like hallway small. Um, and a gentleman there, and whose last name mm, it was like it started with an M. I want to say it was like a Marlowe or an elderly gentleman.
Mhm.
Um, Bill, also a Bill, um, and uh, he too passed away, but many years ago now. But he loved my work. Like he came to every single thing. I had no idea who this gentleman was. Like almost everyone in the audience was someone I knew, and he came to it because Insomniac was doing something. Maybe he just supported their work there, and then just started coming to everything I did there. And he was the one that emailed me and told me, like, you really need to meet my friends Kate and George, who just came back from Ireland, and they were doing a reading of plays at Donegal Square at Red Stag in the upstairs.
Yep.
And so I went to the first one of that, and here I am, this 20 something whatever, I'm coming in like people are reading like one acts or like scenes that they're working on, and I come in with like my stack of finished plays. Like at that time, I was banging out a full length play like once every month, every other month. Like I was just really churning them out. And I'm not exaggerating. Like I was just like it was just like I could not stop and just
Mhm.
kept going. And at that time, I really felt like I wasn't getting the opportunities that I wanted, whether it be at college or I grew up really poor. I didn't have real money to like really make things happen for myself. All I could do is work, which is what I did. And I came in with a play, like the best one of the lot was called Panther Piss, and I gave it to George and Kate, and was like, "Hey, I would love to have my work read at one of these, at one of the next ones, and this is for your consideration or whatever."
Yeah.
And I would say a week, 2 weeks later, I received a call from George and Kate, and George was weeping on the phone, telling me how much he loved this play. And this isn't me coming from like a bragging standpoint. I'm saying it more as like how loving of a man George was. Um, and for as young as I was, um, my parents liked my work, my friends liked my work, things like that. But this is someone who's been doing theater for longer than I've been alive, who has no reason to be nice to me and is effusively telling me how much he loved this play. And, you know, praise like, can't believe my age, like all the
Yeah.
things you want to hear in your very early 20s, from someone who's been doing this as long as they have.
Mhm.
And Kate, like, the phone from him a couple times to also effusively tell me how much she loved it, but
Yep.
also in a more like trying to be in a controlled way because George was, as George could get sometimes, he was kind of like a blubbering mess at the moment. It was like, and like, it's one of the things I love about him. I loved when he was really moved by something.
Yeah.
And, and I say that, of course, with all love. And, and they were like, "Yes, we would like to read scenes from this at the next thing." And they actually did like a full performance, like reading at uh Touchstone, over at Touchstone.
Oh,
And it was the first time that like something of my work like sold out a house. And it had Kate acted in it, Pete Sanchez acted in it. My first girlfriend, who was like still my dear friend, Laura Krompasik, acted in it, and also um, uh, Bob Wiak, and it was like a four-person play, and it was one of the best early experiences of my life as a creative, and that was George and Kate. And then I was going to those readings that you were talking about
Yeah.
pretty consistently. They had about one a month, the Selkie sessions. I met a lot of wonderful people through
Mm.
them there.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
they had the yeah, really cool setup. What was the film that you would say kinda did it for you? That was, like that just sunk in? I mean, was it the Peter Weir, movie?
Oh, like for me, like what broke through.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, well, there's been a lot of different films at different points in my life. Like it really shifts depending on like there's never been just one film. It's always been the film at this stage in my life. Like when this one hits in one way or another. I would say the most important shift in my work and me as a person and as an artist was when I discovered Bergman. When like when and that came about because of being raised seeing Woody Allen films and loving Woody Allen films. And then this is one of the things I would recommend to anybody that's like really in love with the craft is what filmmakers do you like? Then you watch their interviews, not just their films. You hear who they praise, and then you go watch those people's films,
Mm.
and you follow the lineage of the artists you respect. And by doing that, through Woody Allen, I got to Bergman. And when I started watching Bergman, I was at a real down part in my life, and I was, as mentioned, like incredibly prolific. But there was a sense in me of like, what does it matter? Like, I'm not going to get anywhere with this. Like, it's not. There's been so many artists better than me who have been. Who said anything I have at all interesting to say better than I'm ever going to be able to say it in my head in my 20s. Um, and for whatever reason, I decided I'm going to watch Ingmar Bergman's films in order. I'm not gonna start with Wild Strawberries. I'm not gonna start with Fanny and Alexander. I'm gonna start way, way back. The ones I don't even remember the titles are because they suck. They're just bad. They're not good. And like I'm saying that as a devout Bergman fan. I do not like his early work. I think they're beneath him, and I think that some of them are trying to be comedies and they're not funny. Like there's like really was nothing of value in my eyes at that time. I'd probably feel differently now. I have a much
Mhm.
different palette now. But in my 20s, I was like, this is useless. What am I doing? Um, and then they started getting better. And I was like, oh, okay. Well, I guess I kind of get it. Me being an arrogant 20 something, like, oh, I guess Bergman's okay. And then I got around to Virgin Spring and I went, oh, okay. Well, this is a masterpiece. There's a moment in it where Max von Sydow, after his daughter has been killed, when he goes out to a tree, it's this small tree, and he like tears it from the ground,
Mhm.
and it's just a continuous shot. And I remember so vividly watching that, and like I painted my own backstory to all of it. Bergman didn't write any of it. Like I'm there. Oh, he planted that when his daughter was born. That's why he's doing this.
Mm.
And that like the movie didn't tell me that. I told me that. And um and then he proceeds to spoilers for Virgin Spring, a movie that's more than 60 years old. He proceeds to kill the people that he's a religious man, and he proceeds to kill the people that brutalized his daughter. And he kills them after inviting him into his home as a religious man. And he even kills the little boy that was with them. And that's like, he kills the boy. And I'm like, what do you mean he killed the boy? No hero in a movie kills the boy. And it's like, no, he's in a rage. These men and the boy was there, and the boy didn't do anything about it.
Yep.
He
Gotta go.
kills everybody. Yep.
Mhm.
And I was like, I was so blown away by that film. And then I was like, okay, I'm in for the ride now. Bergman's the man. I get it. And then it just got to a point where it was just like one masterpiece after another. Like it
Yep.
was like it was the best films I had ever seen at that time. And when I got to Cries and Whispers, still one of my, you know, all-time favorite films forever, I was like, I don't know that a movie gets better than this. Like, for when it was made, the performances in it, the writing, how it's shot, like everything about it, I was just like, oh, this is where we peaked right here at Cries and Whispers. And then he had a couple more after, like, and then Fanny and Alexander, I was just like, so Bergman for me was the guy. And the reason why it was that time, because at that time, the the thought about quitting wasn't a real quitting. There's the quitting of I'm never picking up a pen again, and it wasn't that. It was the I give up of um I have stuff to say and I'm never going to be able to say it. And it turned it around so completely for me where it was like, "Oh, I'm I'm nowhere close to my Cries and Whispers. I'm not even at my virgin spring yet. I'm still making the movies that some arrogant 20-year-old 50 years from now might be like, I don't get Bergman. That Brandon C. guy, it's like it was such a powerful hit to my ego, but in a loving way. It was in a way of like, hey, dude, it's okay. It was almost like me now, or me 10 years from now, even coming to my younger self and being like, dude, it's, you should be having these thoughts 20 years from now. Like right now is the joke. Like, it's
Right.
okay. Make your bad little movies, write your bad little scripts. It's fine. You're on your way. Keep going.
Part of the process. It's all part of the
All,
process.
all part of the process.
And if you're an artist, which you are, and I'm hearing you feel things very deeply. You get
For
affected
sure.
things very deeply. I mean, that's kind of the double-edged sword of being the artist, right? Like my one friend would say to me, he said, Bill, he said, the greatest thing about you is that you feel things so deeply and you just your life is just so amazing to you and you can be so impressed and blown away by the simplest things. I said, yeah, I kind of feel that. He's like, do you know what the worst thing about you is? I'm like, no, you feel things very deeply. And I was like,
Yeah.
hmm. And that was the first time anyone ever kind of explained that to me and that where it made sense because it was like, yeah, there's sometimes you can, that I wouldn't want to be any other way than I am, but I know that there's people that probably don't feel things the way artists feel things, and I don't know if they're happier because sometimes, a lot of the stuff that we have to sit in or sit with, it's it's a lot. It can be a lot, you know? Do you consider yourself are you an overthinker?
Oh, as a person,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay.
I'm the right amount of thinker as an artist.
There you go.
When I'm doing artsy things, I'm the right amount of thinker. When I'm a person going day to day, like going to the bank, I'm definitely an overthinker.
Yeah. Uh, interesting. All right. So, well, that's cool. So, what would advice would you give to a young Brandon Lay starting out? What would you say? What would you say to him?
I would probably say it is going to be so much harder than you think it is. You're going to sacrifice so much more than you ever think you're going to. Um, I would, frankly, a young me, I would try to do everything I can to uh, dissuade giving as much of it as I know I did. Um, and, but I also know the young me, like the old me, would be like, too bad, and still go and do it, you
Yeah.
know? And so, like, if it were really me, to me, I would give like little advice that would have been huge, which would have been, um, start sooner, go at it harder, faster in the beginning, like right away.
Mhm.
Um, and I would say there was a real shift in my work when I got professional equipment, and I could have done that sooner and should have.
Mm.
I did not realize that I could have made those waves happen. So I would have told myself the second the Blackmagic 4K camera comes into existence,
Mm.
it is affordable. Get it, buy a 35 millimeter lens, and stop using your DSLRs because I would have been shooting much more professionally 4 or 5 years earlier. If I were talking to young people in general, I would say watch more films and watch better ones because the ones you were watching are not good. No offense, but watch better ones. Here's a list, and I'm not gonna have you do Bergman right away. You know what I mean? Like, there's tiers, and like start here with the filmmakers you like, and then those people like these people, like I was talking about
That's a
before,
great
and follow that lineage. No, I don't think like I saw Rashomon in film school, and I thought it was good. But I didn't get all the fuss. I rewatched it like 3 or 4 years later on my own by my own choosing and went, "Oh, this is the greatest film. It's just the best." I get it. Okay. Um, you will age and the work will age differently for you. It will be different for you. So that's part of it. The other thing too is and this comes with that other advice is one of the things that's being lost in film right now is blocking and camera movement. It just doesn't exist.
right.
And it's come from uh 10 years now or more. It's been more like 20 almost now, but especially bad in the last 10 years of prestige television. We have so many good shows out there. They're great. The writing's great, the performances are great. They can tell the story as long as they need to. And unfortunately, that's being stretched out too much, but the problem is the first episode or two will be directed by a real like auteur director and then
Mhm.
they'll be fantastic in some kind of way. And then what you'll find and that most audience members aren't even noticing
Mhm.
is then they start getting shot reverse shot. The second you see two people standing in a room
Mm.
talking to one another, people in real life do not stand in the center of a room and talk to one another. It
Sure.
does not happen. I could probably maybe twice in I'm going to be 40 in 1 month exactly practically. In my 40 years, maybe twice in my life have I stood in the center of a room with another person standing in the center of a room talking to one another, and
Perfect.
that has been the majority of what TV shows have become. So the first thing I would tell young people picking up a camera, the first thing I would tell a young me, someone that actually wants to do this, the first thing you do to stand apart is just move your people around. Just give them reasons to go places, give them business, make them eat cereal, make them
Mhm.
have to get cereal, make them have to clean up a stain on the floor, give them business. People don't stand in the center of a room
Right.
and do anything other than a shot reverse shot. Now, not a shot reverse shot can be great. Some of the best movies ever made rely heavily on shot reverse shot. I'm not saying don't use it. I'm just saying it can't be the only tool in the tool shed.
Right.
It's
Right.
last resort kind of stuff, you know?
Yeah.
There's a lot of it in Finger Lace Crown, you know, but it's just not the only thing that we are employing. So that'd be what I'd be telling people.
I love the way that film looked. The Finger Lace Crown, the look of that movie was just it's exquisite. Like, I like, what camera were you using? Are you this 4K?
Yeah, so thanks. I really appreciate that. So you asked earlier if we were going for like that painterly kind of look, and that's a big thing about it. Is like, somebody said this. Somebody smarter than me at one point in time said, every piece of art you make is in response to the last piece of art you made. Um, and I don't remember what kind of art they were talking. They might have been talking about film, probably, because that's mostly what I'm ingesting. But and so Bitter Taste of Ginger was so dark
Yep.
and like satirical and aggressive. And so Finger Lace Crown, we went for the exact opposite.
Yeah.
Color. Like I wanted all the colors to be as vivid as possible, and it's a much lighter piece. Not to say that there is an intensity to it,
Mhm.
but it's definitely in that conversation. It's definitely a response to Bitter Taste Ginger in that way. And the color and whatnot, that was all intentional. Like, and down to um especially in this film, one of my dear friends very, very talented artist and actor. Steven Nazario, he acts in the film, but he's only in a couple scenes as an actor, but he was there on set almost every day
Mm.
because he was lead makeup artist, and especially lead makeup artist for Therese. And so
Yeah.
all the cool eye designs and stuff like that that really like make her character pop, make her close-ups pop,
Mm.
those are all Steve's designs. And so we wanted that rich color to be in every opportunity, and Steve, especially when we had costume pieces picked out, or one of the, I give pretty free reign on costumes a lot of times. Every now and again, I'll have like a very specific vision for one outfit or one scene or like,
Mhm.
but Sarah Cugini did a lot of the costume work in for the film, and there was one specific look with her and the circular yellow sunglasses was important to me, and then we kind of built around that. So, but yeah, the color pop, that's all Steve. That's all Steve's makeup, especially on Therese. Sarah did a lot of her own makeup, but Steve did it as well.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, every inch of it, we wanted it to be just saturated with color.
I didn't mention this in the beginning, but I thought the music was, really well done as well, and really kinda helped set the tone for a lot of the scenes.
Yeah,
It wasn't,
yeah,
like,
that's
empowering, but it was there. It was just yeah, I enjoyed that as well.
yeah, it's different for everybody. Some people, one of the comments people have given about it is that the music is overpowering, and I'm like, well, that's the purpose at times. Like, and I'm glad you disagree. I don't agree with it either, but like
Yeah.
for some people, it has been. Um,
No.
there's almost all that music is done by one gentleman. There's two or three tracks in it that we paid for, paid the rights to have through Epidemic Sound.
Okay.
Um, and However, most of it is all done by a gentleman named Ryan Lutton. And the beautiful thing specifically about the music for this project is Tyrone, um, when doing these spray paint pieces,
Mhm.
would listen to Ryan Lutton's music.
Mm.
Ryan Lutton, when he made this music, it's a very improvisational way of working. You can see his videos on YouTube. You can watch him composing
Mm.
these songs in real time and just like creating it on the fly. Wonderful artist. Tyrone would then play these pieces of music while he's making these paintings. And while I was writing the script, I was listening to Ryan's music,
Mm.
and like absorbing that, knowing that like, okay, well, there's like here again, talking about lineage, like there's something here, right, that connects. And like, I write in a very improvisational way a lot of times. Like, I don't write being like, this is what's going to happen next. This is what, I introduce myself to the characters. I get to know them for a while. And then when pen hits the page or fingers hit the keys, I let them do a lot of the talking. I let them tell me what they're trying to say. Not always, but oftentimes. That's where the real good stuff is usually happening.
Right.
Um, and then, while listening to this music and then being able to use that music in the actual film, editing to the music sometimes. Other times, already having the scene edited and being like, all right, which one of Ryan's pieces can work here? You
Mm.
know? And the fact that he was so like open and loving and willing to let us use his work. He's the only person on the entire team who isn't Lehigh Valley based. He's actually in London. Um,
Oh,
and I've never met Ryan in person. We've only ever communicated via Facebook or email or things like that.
seen the
But
film?
yeah, his work
No?
is amazing.
Has he seen the finished
Yeah,
film?
that's a question for Ryan. I mean, I've definitely I don't he's definitely not seen it in a theater. We did screen in London,
Mhm.
and I told him about it, and I think he had some kind of project or thing that he was going to be away when that was happening. I've given him links and stuff to watch it. Um, But I think he knows that, like, oh, the way to experience this for the first time really would have been with an audience if I could possibly do it. And I think he was holding out for that. You'd have to ask him. I can't
Yep.
say for sure. But I know that he knows the movie's coming out now uh, on December 5th, or depending on when this releases, I guess, is out um, on Amazon, and it's going to be available in the UK, which is the first thing that he asked me. So
Mm.
I think he's excited to, just as excited as we are, for it to finally actually be out there, out there.
Right, right. That's cool.
Yeah.
I just love that you have like your ensemble that you use. I think that's really cool. I like that aspect of what you're doing, keeping it tight.
Thanks.
Using people that they're talented, but it's like, you have people that you can kind of bring in, and kind of cast. I think that's really special that you do that.
Yeah, thanks. I mean, some of the folks I've been working with and I've known since college. I mean,
Mm.
um, in the case of this film, Joshua Fatoros, is one of my dearest friends, and again, he plays Baby. He's one of the producers, and also Elizabeth Shumway, who
Mm.
plays his sister in the movie, another person that we went to college with, another amazing actress. Maria Soleil, who plays the the woman who buys the painting in the beginning, is one of the first relationships in the movie with Lemon Drop,
Mhm.
plays Simone. Um, and then Steve again went to college with Steve. Like some of those folks, it's been that long. In other cases, like in the case of Felicia, it's been like the last 6 years, 6, 7 years now at this point. And Therese, same thing, about 6, 7 years. Sarah Cugini, about 6, 7, 8, something like that, around about the same amount of time. And yeah, I mean, they're my regular players.
That would really help on set when you're creating, when you're working, right? The
Sometimes, yeah,
client that you can kinda develop with people, that you can when you have close relationships like that, would make your job easier,
absolutely.
you know? Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes it's the leading role, sometimes it's a supporting role. Like it's different with each project. And I do write oftentimes with specific people in mind. And in the case of Finger Lace Crown, Sierra Saka, she plays Hazel in the film, the girlfriend of Josh's character.
Mm.
And she is in the scenes in Finger Lace Crown 3 or 4, whatever it is. And she's the lead in the one we just finished shooting at the beginning of this year, Clench, which was a huge project. And was also the first time that I did the process a little bit differently. Like normally I'll write for specifically people and then cast others into the roles. For that one, instead, I put out an open casting call, and all of my regular players, all they needed to do was send in a video saying ready to do another one.
Mhm.
Like they didn't really have to audition. They just had to put their foot in the door. Uh, and everyone, or they could show me something new. If they wanted to put in an audition, they could. From there, I wrote roles specifically for people that were auditioned just based on what the film was going to be about, and like bringing in like, ooh, I like this energy. And it's the first time I kind of like went about it that way. And to, as far as the piece goes, to great effect. Like it's an incredibly powerful film. Um, and but it was definitely a much different way of working. I don't know if it's one that I'm gonna go to, um, anytime soon. It's definitely a difficult way of going about it when you don't have any money. It might be different if it were like, "Hey, I have $1 million to make this movie. I don't know what it's gonna be yet. Come and audition. See my past work. Am I someone you'd wanna work with? Great. Well, we're gonna figure out what it is." You know?
Right.
Um but I mean, all projects when you're not working with real money, when you can't, and when I say no budget, we've had some money. And by had some money, I mean like $100 here, $1,000 here. We raised a little bit of
Right.
funds here. Um, but having a budget's a different thing. We've never had any, like not even $10,000. But if I had $10,000 in my hand at one time, then I could make a budget for my movie with $10,000. We've never had a budget. I've always dreamed of having a budget, even if it's small, just because of like part of my brain really responds well to that kind of organization. But when you're working on this kind of independent level, every aspect of what you're creating needs to be malleable, needs to be organic, needs to be you that's another thing I would tell young creatives
Mm.
is every single thing, everything. Like, you might think not everything. I mean, every single thing, you have to be prepared to let it bend, move. You know, the more rigid you try to be with something, it's just going to all fall apart.
Yep.
The more rigid you want to be. And you just gotta be prepared to let it move. Our teacher, Norman Roberts, in theater, called it the formless hunch. He didn't call it that. He
Mm,
taught us that from, I believe it was Peter Brook, the theater director, talked about the formless hunch. And it was a beautiful lesson that I wasn't ready to hear as an actor or as a creative, because it's like, well, no, I have a vision and that's what I want to do. If you keep it malleable, if you have I know what this is trying to say, I know what I'm trying to say with it, and that's what you inspire others with. You have a vision, but you're ready to like move with it. You're ready to like
right,
flow with it.
right. Well, one of the biggest things for creativity to show up is constraints.
Mm,
When you have constraints, that's when creativity goes to work. You know what I mean? It's what you're kinda just
I
saying.
do.
Yeah. What
Yeah.
do you ever have um do you know of a moment where you were shooting something kinda to your point of what you're talking about, and something happened unexpectedly that you just, like, did not think of that it would happen, but it happened and you kinda rolled with it, and it kind of turned out to be almost exactly what maybe the scene needed? That experience ever happened to you?
Definitely. I mean, it happens regularly. I mean, you keep yourself open to that very thing. But I
Mhm.
remember one of the first times it happened because I was so frustrated we couldn't do something that I was picturing in my head. And it was on a film. This was back in 2016. We were working on a film called Binge Purge with our mutual friend in it, Kate Hughes.
Mm,
Um, this scene um, had a woman named Valen Turkovich, who I worked with on several films. We were working this scene where it was a film about a person who was bulimic, and it was with her family. And none of the men were ever shown on screen. So it was just the back of her dad's head and her mom, and they were both berating her because she just recently got fired. And we never find out where this started, why it started initially, her going through the binging and purging cycle. But we get hints of it. And in this scene, she's at the dinner table and her parents are arguing at each other. They're arguing at her. The mom is belittling her about losing the job. The dad is defending her and being like, "No, it's okay. Like, don't beat her up." And it's just like constant mixed messages. Am I in trouble? Am I okay? Is it okay? Is it not okay? Like, the dad is yelling at the mom at one point, and um and the whole time Valen, her character Valerie, is just stuffing her face with the food and just like carving into this food. It's this really intense moment. It came out really really well. Anyway, so she's like devouring this food, and the dad's like, "Don't eat like that." The mother's like, "It's gross." And then, but they're having like multiple arguments at one time, and finally, the dad like screams at the mother at the top of his lungs to just shut up then, and then focuses in on the daughter alone, and is just like really laying down the law. Do not eat like that. And she's a grown woman, also like that should be mentioned. It's um 30s, early late 20s, and just really laying into her to not eat like that. And she's just like locking eyes back with him. She only looks down briefly to put more food in her mouth, and she just keeps stuffing her mouth. And we were in somebody's home. Someone let us use their space to shoot this scene. In my head, the button of the scene was her spitting the food across the table and storming off. That just wasn't a reality. It just could not happen. This was someone's home. That's someone's actual kitchen table. That's
mhm.
someone's actual floor. The people that own the home are lovingly letting us use it. you know, we're just some people's home. Like now, as a filmmaker, like I've been in a lot of homes. Some people will be like, "Yeah, as long as you clean it up, I don't care." You know, that's fine. But this was not the case here. We talked about, all right, we're going to have to bring the plate up and spit it out that way. And Valen had just magic. The one take, this is happening, and she just opens her mouth, and like suddenly food is there. Like it's just like a magic trick. Like it goes from there's nothing there to just like a wad of food that
Mhm.
she just lets fall out of her mouth while making like dead eye contact with him. And it's just like such a disgusting but powerful beat that was just so like the last choice you would think to
Right,
make.
right, right.
Like
But yet he's the best choice.
it was like no one else would have done that. No other film would have done that. Why? Because they would have had a budget and they would have gone with choice one, which was spitting the food across the table, which, mind you, might have looked great. Probably visually would have been great and would have been a powerful beat, but it would not have been as unique a powerful beat as what we ended up with for that very reason.
I love those kinds of moments.
Yeah. And that's what you're hunting for. You know, you set up an environment where hopefully you can bring in some of those kind of things.
In which order should I watch the rest of your movies? I'm gonna write this
Oh,
because you know how you said, like, heavy. I started with Finger Lace Crown, so what would I watch next?
oof. Well, if you were serious about watching all of them, I would go back to Macy on a Good Day and then watch them in order.
Okay.
I would watch Macy on a Good Day, then I would watch Binge Purge,
Okay.
which is only 40 minutes.
Okay.
A Hole to China.
Hulk of China. Okay.
Yep. And then I would watch The Ground That Sinks.
Okay.
Binge Purge, A Hole to China, and The Ground That Sinks um, were the three films back to back that I worked with Valen, where she was the lead. So that was kind of like its own little like mini era, right?
Yeah.
And then from there, you've got The Worry Doll, which is the next feature.
Okay.
And then from there, if you really want to hunker down, we did a 5-hour limited series called The Price of Fairy Tales. You could give that a watch if you wanted. That's on Amazon.
Okay.
But that one, again, like that one, equipment, sound quality. So it's not usually what I lead with, but the performances, both of Sid Stauffer, Jenna McBreen, phenomenal.
Okay.
And it's such an underseen piece of our work because it's 5 hours long and it's very depressing. But and I'm so bummed about that because everybody's performance is great. I'm very proud of the writing.
Mhm.
Production side, it's like we've only gotten better. Um, but I can't say enough just how amazing everybody in that, and Jenna is the lead of that, and her performance is so heartbreaking and so powerful, and she gave so much of herself to it, like gave so much of her own experience to it. And, as an artist, my regrets end up being in things like I've wanted better equipment for so long. I've put myself into so much debt to be able to never again be in a position where I have to fault the equipment.
Mm.
And I spent so many years being like, oh, I'm so proud of this. And like, but the equipment, like
Mm.
it's, and of all of them, Price of Fairy Tales suffers the most from that.
Mm.
And of all the people I've worked with, uh, Jenna got caught the brunt of that. The period where my equipment did not match our goals. And because it's a depressing piece, but it was meant to be, like tragedy is meant to be, you know, um, it's criminally underseen. And if for nothing else, I would have people watching it for just how towering of a performance she gives. Like truly powerful.
Yeah.
And then from there, it's Bitter Taste of Ginger, which I've mentioned several times here.
Yeah.
Um, then Finger Lace Crown, and then what we have coming up is Clench. And then I could give you 15 short films that we made.
Uh,
It's it'd probably be easier to email you a list.
Okay, we could do that. But this is a good start.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah,
do
definitely. Like,
in all seriousness, I really I enjoyed Finger Lace Crown so much. Like I was
thank you, Bill.
immersed. Like the visuals, the writing, it just all worked for me. Like I loved it. I just all of it. There was nothing I would say. I mean, I love character studies and I love that, things that slow down so you can, we're just so fast paced anymore. Everything's just like,
Mm.
I love when like scenes can develop, on their own, and just the visuals and the way you crafted the story and the music, and just beautiful, beautiful job. I would highly recommend everybody go see this movie because when they can. I just have one question. What's a finger lace crown?
Mm. Oh, yeah. Um, so as you know, at the end of the movie, one of the few people from the cast and team that I didn't mention was Lisa Wachowski.
Mhm.
Um, and Lisa, um, is awesome. Lisa was going to be our ASL consultant on a project that we didn't end up getting to create, which was very unfortunate. It was going to be what was going to be the project after Bitter Taste of Ginger. And when that fell through, I was like, oh, I've spent a year studying sign language with Lisa, that several cast members have spent this year studying with Lisa. And I was like, well, 100% Lisa's going to be involved in this. So I ended up creating this piece where at the end of it, Lisa signs this poem.
Yeah. Mhm.
And in it, it mentions the finger lace crown, thus the title. And so part of me um, doesn't want to give it away, but it's like because it's poetry. But um, there's a plenty in this movie that people can mull over, and I can answer one little one like that. Finger lace crown is the one of the lines in it is I don't remember the exact line. It's not my job to memorize my poetry. About like laying in repose. And she says something to the effect of like a finger lace crown. And so when you lace your fingers together like this and
Yeah.
you lay back and you take in life, you take in the world. Um, and so that finger lace crown is that that action of laying in repose with your fingers interlaced, cradling your own head.
Okay. You know what's interesting?
Yeah.
When I have
And
to come up with a big idea, in my life, for my work,
Mhm.
that's what I do. I did not
Is it?
Yeah. I put my feet up on the desk, and I do that, and I lean back with a sketchbook at my lap. Wow.
Yeah, well, there it is. Yeah. Powerful.
I think that's the note we have to end on.
Yeah, I love it.
Brandon, congratulations on the movie, the film. It's awesome. I'm gonna be watching you, and as it kinda moves out into, where it's gonna go, and how it's gonna find its audience, and I wish you all the best with that. But it's a phenomenal piece of work, man. Really. Bravo.
Thank you.
Keep doing your thing, man. I'll be watching.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
Be well, my friend.
All right, AdYackers. Hope you enjoyed it. Because we have many more great conversations planned and guests lined up ready to yak it up. AdYack is sponsored and produced by ASR Media. Theme song was written and performed by Dan Ross. AdYack is the official podcast of the AAF Greater Lehigh Valley Ad Club. Stay hungry, stay humble. Till next time.
This episode of AdYack is rated O for, oh man, that was good.